Senator, last night Mr Turnbull was saying if NBN Co would likely acquire Telstra's copper.
Yeah, no, we're remonopolising into I've seen Malcolm. What's clear now from what Malcolm's starting to be forced to reveal is that he intends to build a government monopoly, something he's railed against, and he intends to buy back the copper with all of its degraded, corroded parts. He intends to buy back last century's technology and try and run a 21st century broadband network. So let's be very clear about this. The sort of speeds he claims are not the norm. And Australians will need to live on top of their node if they want to get anywhere close to the speeds he claims. And more importantly, as the British minister said 2 nights ago, it is a stepping stone, fibre to the node, to ultimately fibre to the home. Well, New Zealand recognised that. They started to build fibre to the node and they ultimately decided it wasn't good enough. And we considered this. You will remember I did conduct a public tender for a fibre to the node network. And all of the experts came back and said, look, if you want to future-proof your economy, if you want to make sure you're in a position to take maximum advantage of what's going to happen, the innovation in the future, you should go fibre to the home. We took the experts' advice when we decided not to build a fibre to the node network. But Malcolm knows best. He'll invest his money in France Telecom, which is building 15 million homes fibre to the home, but he'll oppose expenditure on a fibre to the home network in Australia. It's just short-sighted. It's like building the Sydney Harbour Bridge with one lane. If Turnbull and Abbott had been in charge of construction of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the 1920s, it'd be one lane today.
Mr Adams, can you tell us what changed New Zealand's mind in terms of the broadband network, why it went from fibre to the node to fibre to the home?
Sure. Well, look, I wasn't the minister at the time, but essentially what the senator has said is right, is that all the information we had was that the most comprehensive and future-proof network we could build was a fibre to the home package, and that effectively it made far better fiscal sense to invest the funds we had available in a fibre to the home package initially. We're very committed to it, but we're very comfortable with the decision, and all the feedback we've had has been that it has been the right way to go. Well, it made better sense to do it now rather than have to come back in the future and retrofit a fibre to the node to fibre to the home connection.
What's the network worth?
So in New Zealand, we're putting $1.5 billion of taxpayers' funds into a public-private partnership. We've approached it slightly differently to Australia in that respect. It's being matched by about 200, I'm speaking about Australian money now, $2 billion of private sector money. So it's about $3.5 billion in total for New Zealand for our effectively urban package. And then we have another $300 million of public money going into our rural broadband initiative, which supplements the network, which again is matched with private sector money.
Is that satellite and wireless?
It's a combination. It's primarily fibre to the node into the rural communities with a fixed wireless from cell phone towers. We're only looking to satellite in the most remote of our schools. We've made a commitment that every school in New Zealand will receive speeds of 100 megabits initially, and to get that in some of our most remote areas, it just made no sense to do it on a fibre basis. So we're using satellite there, but in the main, it's a combination of fibre and fixed wireless.
So just to clarify that, did you say you're still using fibre to the node in some areas?
In the rural areas. So under our ultra-fast broadband package, which is our $1.5 billion core initiative, that is fibre to the home. And that's the core of our rollout. Into the rural areas of New Zealand, and if you are familiar with New Zealand, you'll know that it's a long, mountainous and very sparsely populated country. For the rural network, what we wanted to do was reach as many people as we could and bring up that rural connectivity, which has been sadly lacking. The best way to do that in that area was roll out fibre to the node, enhanced copper from there into the communities, fibre to schools, hospitals and medical centres, and then a fixed wireless connection to the remaining premises.
So fibre to the node is more cost effective in some areas under your rollout.
No, don't try and verbal our guest from New Zealand, David.
It's all right.
He's just written his own headline.
Yeah. No. What we've said is in the rollout to the densely populated urban areas, fibre to the home is our clear preference, and we're very satisfied that that's the right way to go. When you're rolling out connectivity into rural and remote areas, you have to take a slightly different view, and what you're starting from is a much lower base of connectivity, and we put together a package of solution which include fibre fibre to the premise, includes some fibre to the node and enhanced copper, and includes fixed wireless. And it makes sense to make the best use of the money available. And I can tell you in New Zealand, like anywhere, there's very fiscally constrained environments. And the core objective for us in the rural communities was to lift the number of our premises who had any sort of adequate broadband access from the 20% it was when we came into government up to an excess of 86%. That's the best way of going about it with the funds available. So no, we're not saying that fibre to the node is preferable. We're saying that fibre to the home is always our preference, but you have to be realistic about how you reach a farm and the back blocks and how you best spend taxpayers' money.
So if your funds were unlimited, if you had all the money you needed to do that network, would you have done all fibre to the home? Or
Look,
would it still have made sense?
it's pie in the sky. It really is. And I think you'd always have to question whether it makes sense to run a long fibre optic cable 70 kilometres into the Southern Alps to serve one premise. I think no matter how much money you had, you would have to be asking yourself about the wisdom of some spending. But I can tell you my view is that from a service basis, a fibre to the home, fibre to the premise network is certainly the preferable way to go for an urban and populated area.